Definitely England win. They've just, it was interesting to Stuart then, you kind of feel quite nervous. And I have to say hats to him. I think England have turned the kitchen sink of this. They prepared really well. Just going to find out now whether all that preparation, all that effort is translate into performance on the field. So I'm expecting a good England win to open the World Cup, and just good luck to all of them.
The final comment for me is that you do so much preparation that you almost make that first moment almost too big. You wait so long for it. You have to cross that white line at some point, put your foot on the ground and say, right, you know, you can't protect yourself anymore. This will count, and this is it.
Well, actually, the qualifying competition for the Rugby World Cup began in March 2012 when Mexico beat Jamaica in Mexico City, and 3.5 years and hundreds of matches later, this is the World Cup proper. Our commentary team tonight is two members of England's World Cup winning team, Ben Kay and Lawrence Dallaglio, held together by Nick Mullins.
Evening all. First little battle won by Fiji, the coin toss to decide who'd be Team A. So England will walk out in red, having walked out of the away dressing room. For every team here, every single player in this tournament, this, the time of their lives, at the start of a tournament that will change lives. England actually choosing to use the away dressing room for their last warm-up game here against Ireland a couple of weeks ago to have an idea of what it felt like to be a guest in their own house. They brought plenty of mates along. The noise, the atmosphere is almost supernatural inside Twickenham at the moment. A musical start to proceedings, the anthems. The first one we will hear, the Fijians supported by the Rugby School Choir. Fijian tears from a big man, Nemani Nandolo. Well, England have talked together over the last few months about how they handle what they've called the sideshow within the camp in the build-up to kick-off. The dinners, the hullabaloo, the outside expectations. The concerts would take that at the O2, appearing on stage with them. Sideshow's very much over now. And against the team for whom the folks back home are about to enjoy Saturday breakfast back in the South Pacific, told the bulk of the nation of less than 1 million will be watching in the big cities like Suva and Lautoka, and in the smaller villages they'll all be gathering around the one TV, the one satellite dish, hoping the generator doesn't let them down. And one last formality before we finally get underway. New Zealand have the haka, Fiji have the thimbi. Voices responding to the challenge. It's here. The 2015 Rugby World Cup kick-off just around the corner.
It's the world in union. It's the world in union.
Match number 1, Fiji against the hosts, against England, and Jaco Piper, a 35-year-old from Bloemfontein, will take charge, his World Cup debut, and with a brand new engraved whistle that will be used in future opening matches, the South African will have us underway. Will take charge, his World Cup debut, and with a brand new engraved whistle that will be used in future opening matches, the South African will have us underway. Fiji in white, remember. Kick off the 2015 Rugby World Cup. And the bounce of the ball into the hands of the England scrum half Ben Youngs. England in red. Picked up by Courtney Laws. The Northampton lock forward, and the Leicester hooker Tom Youngs takes it on. Cleared long downfield by Ford. Oh, and that would have been the first opportunity for Fiji to run the ball forward, but these are nervy moments for young Ben Volavola, picked at 10 today for Fiji.
Yeah, and we get our first scrum of the game. Bit of a let-off for England because they made a bit of a hash of the kick-off. Ben Youngs thinking someone else was going to take it, and it was a poor kick to the backfield. You felt that Volavola had a real opportunity to run that back, but unfortunately just knocked it on, and this is a great attacking opportunity. Both sides of the field open now for England.
It is, and this scrum so important to England because over the pre-tournament games they haven't really put their case forward as they have done. They've got a real strength in the scrum, and now the likes of Dan Cole, Marler need to get the upper hand early and get some confidence.
Set piece is an area that Fiji really feel that they've improved on over the last 18 months. They can think they might have a toehold here over the course of the match. However, first penalty has been conceded by them. Chris Robshaw has it, and he will be very happy to take the earliest of kicks at goal.
Yeah, that's a real positive scrum for England. You saw a real second shove coming on there. Notice Jaco Piper had some problems with Joe Marler over in Paris, but look at this, Marler gets in early, and look at that shove there.
I think he's been a little bit generous to Marler there. Certainly the hips opened up on Tom Youngs very early. He's got to be careful on that. That's where he's been pinged with a penalty against him in the games against France.
Couldn't be a better one for George Ford to open up right in front of the post.
22-year-old Lancastrian. It's been some journey from Saddleworth under-9s for George Ford, playing rugby league back then. Chance for him for the first points at this year's World Cup. As the rain starts to fall on Twickenham, England take the lead early on. England 3, Fiji 0.
Yeah, George Ford up and running in this World Cup with the first penalty of the tournament. Just thinking, Nick, with the rain coming down, the accuracy in their own half, England now, they want to really secure this kick-off and start to play the game down in Fiji's half.
Once again, it's Vola whose fumble set England up for that penalty. Once again, England will go through the routine of trying to extricate themselves from the 22. Again, it's loose on halfway, and it's Ford there, one of the smallest in a land of giants, who was brave to get down on it. Parling, finding Jonathan Joseph, and this is Brown, quickly to May. England at times did rediscover a sense of adventure in those World Cup warm-ups, particularly in the first half against Ireland, but that was lost forward by Ford, and a newly wet ball causing one or two problems for both teams early on.
Yeah, the players probably will readjust to this now. They're just going to have to stand that little bit closer to each other when the ball gets very greasy. Makes spinning that ball quite difficult, and obviously catching it, and it's about getting that ball out in front. But Johnny May did fantastically well on this left-hand touchline just to stay in field, and Fiji get their first scrum.
Let's go again. Right.
Joe Marler on this near side, the left side. England's loose head prop up against Manasseh Saulo, one of those who plays his club rugby in Romania. Bulk of the Fiji team play professionally in France. Only a couple of them will be going back to Fiji at the end of this to resume their amateur careers. Picked up by Nico Matawalu, real live wire scrum half, will be playing for Bath next season in the English Premiership, having left Glasgow over the summer. There's Matawalu. England will have to watch his sniping breaks around those scrums. He is as quick can be. But come back for the penalty. Some loose feet from Brad Barrett.
Yeah, he just got held in the bottom of the ruck there and just couldn't get his feet away in time, and the referee just penalising him. But it's interesting to see Fiji off that first scrum really looking to run down that channel where George Ford is defending, and that's something that I'm sure England would have talked about a great deal.
Oh, it's interesting to see Fiji opening the kicking with Ben Vola, who's going to try and fill the hole left by Dan Carter at the Crusaders in Christchurch once this tournament's done. He's moved from the Waratahs in Sydney. Namani Nandolo is a wonderful kicker. 9 from 9 against the Canadians across the road at the Twickenham Stoop a fortnight ago, but they've given the early penalty to Vola. The width of a post, and England remain ahead.
Yeah, fine margins, aren't they? Much more difficult kick than that of Ford, but England got a chance to clear with the 22 dropout.
He's had a rather nervy start, the fly half. He's only got a 68% kicking success rate in the Pacific nations, so he's not nailed on. And there's Akapusi and Guerra, the captain, former Gloucester man, came in with the big hit. England retained possession, and how well did Tom Youngs do there to get down low and hold on to the bar of soap.
Right off his bootlaces there. Fantastic pick up off his toes.
Ball will come down with the raindrops, and it's taken by Watson. Watson winning the first aerial challenge with Nandolo, part of the game that England have worked so hard on. And from that aerial success with ball in hand, this is Parling. Bulk of the red shirts to the right, but they continue to mine on the left-hand side for the time being, once again with Youngs. What's on Ford's mind? Found Barrett, but Fijian defence up very, very quickly.
Advantage.
And England, as a result of that quick smothering defence, were forced to hold on to the ball on the floor.
Yeah, you could see what England were trying to do there. They're trying to get the ball into that wide channel, but didn't quite challenge the line enough. Look at that fantastic take from Anthony Watson. Really timed that well and put the ball inside to Mike Brown, but great Fijian cover.
England have worked really hard on those high balls, Ben. They got really undone by Ireland in Dublin in the Six Nations, but they've looked at American football, they've looked at Aussie rules, they've looked for clues as to how to win those battles.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to start on the outside, so they're coming from the blind spot of the person they're competing against. They time the run perfectly and climb in the air, almost use their knee to climb on the opposition's back. And we saw twice there, Johnny May from the drop out, and then Watson on the other side with a crossfield kick. So a really important against these big wingers that might be a bit slower to turn. It might be a big tactic for England.
Fijian line out. Now the first time that we've seen Nandolo doing what he does best, his ferocious ball in hand. Bigger than Jonah Lomu was back in '95. Matwisela Talambula amongst the Fijians trying to clear some air over that ball for Matawalu to use. England ahead, courtesy of George Ford's early penalty. And again, it's gone loose.
Yeah, really nice line speed there. Ben Morgan a bit sloppy off the line out, missed that tackle and put a lot of pressure on George Ford. He's got to make those tackles. But really impressed with England's line speed.
And 9.
What's on Jaco Piper's mind here? He wants to have a word.
So we don't get dictated by the players. Lie down or I'll give a penalty. Thank you.
Nico Matawalu, the scrum half who was spoken to, and Akapusi Ngera, third World Cup for the former Gloucester Warhorse.
Interesting with Fiji, Nick, going straight off the top of their line-out ball, no messing around. We kind of expect that. They want a fast, unstructured game. Interested to see what England take as a sort of option here, Ben, off this line-out.
Well, absolutely, particularly as we've seen on Fiji's first two bits of phase, them going straight at George Ford with their big wingers, one each, and getting good momentum. Barrett's going to try and do that job for England.
Ball out.
Youngs to Ford, and this is Joseph, and this is Brown who offers the threat from fullback. Ball that he tried to thread through for May. Never found the target.
Yeah, you can see what he was trying to do there. I guess that's an area where they want to get the ball into Joseph's hands as much as possible and really have a go at Gonover, who sometimes has been found wanting in that outside channel defensively, and that's an area that England, I suspect, will try and target.
Break in play because Waisea Nathalevu needed a little bit of treatment, the star Francais right winger, but he's back on his feet. Let's have a look at this England line out, Ben. What are you looking at?
Well, it will be Jeff Parling trying to create the easiest opportunity for Tom Youngs just to get him into the game. It's not necessarily at the front. He's trying to create a big hole and he hasn't managed to.
No, that was the gamble ball going long, and Wangani Baruto got up quickest, but England will still have the opportunity to run it back from the 10-metre line with May. Matan Dingo with his hands in the air. On we go. Brad Barrett, as he so often will, just driving it forward, but it was lost forward.
Tom Youngs will probably, among the media, get the blame for that, but it wasn't his fault because the movement from the back wasn't far enough forward in the line out, as we just watched Johnny May trying to carry it through and get that leg drive, a lift of the leg, which is very dangerous. If he doesn't put him down safely, he can risk the wrath of the law. And if they land on his shoulder, it's a red card.
Now we're going to have another look at this. The television match official is the South African Sean Veldsman. This is what Sean Veldsman's watching, and referee Jaco Piper on the big screen. It might be Wangani Baruto. And, did they bring the player down safely, which is part of the equation?
That's the key. He's definitely lifted the leg. He's made a pull with his bicep to try and lift the man off the floor, but he doesn't drive him into the floor and he doesn't drop him.
Is that number 6?
Number 6 white.
Yeah, just explain what you see. You see 6 white, he's off the ground, but he lifts his leg. Takes him beyond the horizontal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Serious enough for yellow card.
Can you just repeat?
He lifts his leg, takes it through the horizontal.
Yes.
Serious enough for yellow card?
I would just go for a penalty.
You agree with that?
You're giving that the thumbs up, Ben. You think that's the right
I do,
decision?
yeah. It's not. I think he realises a mistake. You risk it. As soon as you lift a leg, you risk that you're not going to be able to maintain control. But he doesn't drop Johnny May. Doesn't make any movement that could cause a neck injury. He holds him up for as long as possible. And May gradually just goes forward. So in the end, right decision.
I'm sure Sam Warburton will have been watching that. And as soon as you lift a player beyond the horizontal, Lawrence, you're in trouble. It's your responsibility to bring him back down to earth safely.
I mean, yeah, the referee asked the TMO, what do you think? Is it serious enough for a yellow card? Because the outcome wasn't a serious one, unlike the Warburton tackle, which looked a lot worse. The referee said, no, just a penalty. But back on with the game. England decided to push it right into Fiji's 22 now.
Lost the last line out. They go to the front and bank the next one.
The benefit of having a really strong target in Tom Ward, and now they've rolled round the corner to the right. They're trying to keep the momentum up, commit Fiji in. It's not truck and trailer because Fiji decided to go out. They could go all the way.
There are a lot of white Fijian shirts under there, but they've given a penalty try. In the mind of Jaco Piper, that try would have been scored if Fiji hadn't pulled that rolling ball of humanity down, and they did, and the South African says that's a try.
Well, even though Fiji didn't have anyone in them all, because they had at the start, they can't come in from the side. So look at all those players trying to come in. Do they all come in from behind? They're okay there. Now they're starting to get disorganised, and now they're coming in from the side. And the player who gets underneath has never been behind the back foot. That's why it's a penalty try.
And what's really impressive about that, Ben, was that England recognised that, and the speed at which they then changed the dynamism of that maul and got it over the line. Really good play from England.
Furthermore, they've lost Nico Matawali, the scrum half, to a yellow card for 10 minutes. That's costly.
Well, we highlighted discipline as a key area. This is now a very good start for England. Not only are they 10 points up on the scoreboard, but they're also Fiji down to 14 men.
Be really interesting who they move to 9, but also who then plays first receiver. Do they put one of the big wingers in? Do they put an Andolo in at 10 just to truck it up straight from first phase?
One or two questions for Fiji to answer. And I'll try to address them in the way they do best, which is by hitting hard and asking questions later. And that's exactly what happened as Nandolo charged in there. Not messing around. Ben Youngs winning his 50th cap tonight, by the way. Ben Youngs, the Leicester scrum half. 5 years after his first, so he joins a club that includes Matt Dawson, Kieran Bracken, Danny Kerr.
Yeah, Watson just getting hit man and ball. Really good tackle from the Fijian, but England just want to concentrate that little bit more at their kickoff.
Fiji shortening the line out. Sonia Koto plays his rugby for Narbonne in the French second division. And this is Nandolo. They will try and get him involved, the big bus, as much as they can. There's the answer to who's playing at fullback. At scrum half, it's the fullback Matwi Sailor Talambula for the time being, in the absence of Matawala. Vola. Long clearance by Youngs. Not finding touch, perhaps not intended to find touch. Talambula, who's a try-scoring fullback come winger. He will be dangerous if he gets a bit of space, a little bit of ball. And England get the bounce that they needed, and it goes into touch. Now, Clive, you've got a view on England's try, the penalty try.
Well, just Ben Lawrence, just the speed and the enthusiasm of England, both backs and forwards, to actually get involved. It was just a pace this happens at. It wasn't just a bog standards for a driving maul. It was just a whole pace of everybody coming in, and you see Barrett come flying in a minute. and it was almost unstoppable. So it was just the pace and enthusiasm was brilliant.
The key to that was the scrum half's eyes for them, because if there's bodies in there, you don't want to go too fast because you're liable to trip over. If there's no one there, that's when you need the signal from behind to say, go, go, just fly towards the line.
Yeah, really good work there. Referee asking for Fiji to use it. They're not responding. England just tied up and get the scrum.
World Cup history tells us that the opening night can very often be a time when the hosts fluff their lines, but with him in the bin at the moment and England a try to the good, it's started pretty well for the hosts tonight. I remember England against New Zealand here in '91, France against Argentina 2007, both beaten. Wales nearly beaten by Argentina in the Millennium Stadium back in 1999. They're not easy games, these, sometimes for the hosts, but England pretty satisfied with the way things have started in the first 15-16 minutes, Lawrence.
Yeah, they'll be very happy, but they want to take more points and really take advantage now. What's the option off this scrum? It's a good shot from the Fijians. Bobbling ball at the back there.
Well played by Ford in the end, and England rescue it with May, and now Joseph, and now Barrett, and this is Brown, who is quick, and he's got somebody even quicker beyond him, Anthony Watson. Build-up included a couple of tries here against France. He's scored 4 in the last 3 games, Watson. He's in top form. Ford, and they invite Laws to rumble it forward, but that's been lost. And Fiji will have a scrum.
Yeah, it's just one of the points that Clive made before kick-off, was that England will want to get over the gain line. They won't want to get caught behind the gain line. You could see what Courtney Laws was doing there. I think they just need to challenge the line a little bit more before they perhaps go wide, and that's exactly what Courtney Laws was trying to do, but just ball became a little bit dislodged.
It was clever play afterwards by Tom Youngs, actually, because he spotted it and he made a tackle, but he knew he was going to get his arms to the ball and stop the offload going past him. Probably a little bit of a knock-on and probably deliberate, but because he did it in the movement of the tackle, he gets away with it and stops a big overlap for Fiji.
Let's have another look at this Fijian scrum, with the fullback having to drop the ball in, which he won't necessarily be used to doing. There was not much straight about that, but Jaco Piper gives him the benefit of the doubt.
Certainly does. England's ball back though,
with Brown. And Johnny May underneath it. It was not Mike Brown's greatest of kicks.
Disappointing for Brown, because it was actually a poor kick from Fiji. It was too long. He had a lot of time to pick his angle, make his decision. Didn't have any pressure on him at all.
probably go for the drive. Look at that possession stat, 65% in England's favour.
They were looking for Matandingo. Taken in the end by Wangani Baruto.
Advantage is over for the knock.
Chris Robshaw doing his best to stay on his feet while trying to pull that ball back, but there are too many muscular Fijian bodies trying to stop him doing it.
Big hits
by
there.
Matandingo again.
Courtney Laws really getting a line speed up there.
Ball was intended for Nandolo to run onto it, and it's a difficult one for Mike Brown to take, and he was gathered up by Lovan Balavu, and having to work very hard and commit bodies to that ruck to win it back, which they've done. Tom Wood who took it on.
Yeah, sensible play there, because they didn't have any blockers for the box kick, so had Ben Youngs made the kick, he could well have been charged down.
And just recognising there again, Ben Youngs, that quite a few of the England players were on the floor, and not to go to the box kick, Ben, and just get it off the park. And next defensive set, Andy Farrell will be delighted with the way England have been defending so far.
Check.
There's two blokes in front of the coaches, by the way, the video analysts who play such an important role in the game these days. Duncan Locke on the right and Mike Hughes on the left.
I've got exactly what you're looking at.
Now, Sean Veldsman's seen something in the last clean-out. You think you've got an idea, Ben?
We've got 4
He's asked to look at the clear-out by 4 white.
It's on Chris Robshaw, wasn't it? Chris Robshaw's trying to play the ball there. Does he use his arms in the clear out? Is it just a head collision?
For white is Api Ratuni Urawa. Was that reckless?
Do you have another one?
What do you think, Johnny?
Just one second, Jakob.
It's interesting, Nick, because so many of the decisions that happen in this kind of first game set the precedent for the World Cup.
We can't actually see where he we can't actually see where he connects.
So it's 4 white.
It's 4 white.
So I give a penalty against 4 white in the midfield.
Yeah, midfield.
I think we're going to have a lot of this over the opening couple of weeks of this tournament, because the referees have been told, given a list of priorities, and right at the top is player safety, foul play, and that kind of situation comes right under that banner.
Yeah, and those first half a dozen games set the benchmark really for the rest of the tournament. I think it's a big tournament for the referees as well, and they want to impose.
You have to use your arms when you clean out, right? You cannot lead with the shoulder. It's a penalty. This has got to stop. The foul play. Right.
It's actually very difficult for the players because it's not like a tackle, so obviously you can't make contact with a player's head and you've got to use your arms to wrap around, but actually the heads are a lot lower than in a tackle, so you're inevitably going to make contact shoulder on head occasionally, but you've just got to make an effort to look like your arm is wrapping around something, even if you can't get it through all the bodies.
You're saying, Nick, the discipline really of this Fijian side is really letting them down at the moment. They're normally giving away about 15 penalties a game. They're racking them up at the moment.
What they are doing at the moment is playing out the 10 minutes of Matawalu's yellow card, however. Just 2 or 3 minutes left on it. Sent to the bin on the way to the penalty try. Won by Wood. Now this is Ben Morgan, and Morgan gives it to Ford, and May, who's popping up in midfield, finds Joseph, finds Brown, and the run for the line by Watson, and he was hunted down in the end by Naitha Levu.
Yeah, it's neat hands from England, but it didn't really create the space for Watson on the outside. Just felt, I mean, Morgan's admirably offloaded the ball, but just felt he could have just, he's the sort of guy that can really take it in behind, get in behind Fiji, and then the space will be on out wide.
It's really good cover from the Fijians, wasn't it? I thought Morgan timed it pretty perfectly. The tackle was coming in, and he just gets the ball away, but it's there. It's really good defence from Fiji because they don't overcommit to the tackle and they drift off and start running towards the corner flag, just making sure they get their angles right so that Watson runs out of room on the outside channel.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. What they didn't do is get beyond the passing lines. They stayed, they waited, they communicated well, and they shepherded Watson into touch.
Oh, that's interesting. It's not worked for Fiji. Now England with ball they weren't expecting. Parling, Ford, flicked on by Joseph wonderfully. Brown scores! And in the opening quarter of this match, Fiji have given England a couple of presents.
Well, listen to the roar that greets England's second try. Turnover ball, nothing better to score from, to really attack from. Tom Wood read that line-out call. Went horribly wrong for Fiji. Look at this, over the top. Tom Wood's on it straight away. Recycles the ball. It's the speed of the recycling, and then it's a question of the hands. England trying to get that ball out wide. Superb hands, and Mike Brown, he doesn't miss those. Runs it in for England's second try.
40th cap tonight, but he's had to wait until now for his World Cup debut, and now he's a World Cup try scorer.
Yeah, fantastic from England. They're really taking advantage of Fiji being down the extra man.
Oh, the work of Jonathan Joseph in the middle of that, just ushering the ball across his body to create the fraction of the second that England needed. No, just a 5-point score. Ben, you've been looking at Jonathan Joseph's decision-making.
Well, first of all, he's not facing the right way when we come to it. Look, there he is, but we suddenly get the ball. He's not expecting it to come. He changes his mind, he turns, he gets into place. Now watch this. As the ball comes along the line, he's calling for it to be put forward for him, but then he realises there he can't keep going forward. If he goes forward, this man here comes in and makes the tackle. So he can't do it, so he puts the brakes on, stops, and lets the ball straight through his hands, and that's what creates the 2-on-1 for Brown on the outside. The defence goes on to Johnny May. Brown holds on. Superb score.
Tedembalu just running it back.
Matawalu is back with us. It was in the end a very costly yellow card. There he is. Vola. Little step, but he was caught up in red thorns in the end.
Yeah, great line speed again from England. That ball looked like it just got knocked on there.
Also, Saulo was the tight head prop, number 3. See what England can do attacking-wise with the ball in hand. This is a big test of their defensive stability. Defence drilled by Andy Farrell, son Owen amongst the replacements tonight. Talambula. Very nearly breaking free, but the ball was lost forward. England's advantage hasn't lasted long, you'll have heard the referee tell us. Taken on by Naithalemu, but it's been picked up by Joseph, however.
Well, you can see what the Fijians, the first instinct is just to try and break the tackle and offload the ball straight away. We know what the England team will have expected that. Really pleased with the way the second defender is going in and trying to tie up the ball. On that occasion, Joseph just knocks it on.
That's where England have to say so alive, because they are going to be under pressure, but also equally, if you play like Fiji do and have this offloading game, you make mistakes, and that's where England can quickly flick the switch and go the other end of the field. And had that ball gone to hand, there could well have been a try for England.
It's a little bit of concern for England's strong man, Dan Cole, one of the 4, by the way, who survived the fallout from 2011, and the job Stuart Lancaster did in rebuilding the England wall, rebuilding an England culture, putting a bit of pride back into the shirt that had perhaps been lost with what went on in New Zealand. He's worked so hard, as have his players.
Well, I think he was very clear right from the start that he wanted to remind the England players exactly what it meant to play for their country, and he certainly did that in the first 12 months of his tenure. And some great culture now embedded in this entire England squad and below.
Marler and Youngs and Cole against Campizima, Afu, Koto and Saulo.
Just looking, last time Fiji had a scrum here, they were looking to run down George Ford's channel to see if England just try and get that little right-hand shoulder and just perhaps just give the back row that little bit of split second to give George Ford a bit more protection.
Just to explain that right-hand shoulder, you're twisting the scrum towards the touchline effectively, making it more difficult for the back rows and the big runners to run around and into George Ford.
So on Dan Cole's side, England will just want, Ben, won't they, just want to get that little right-hand shoulder up and just give our back row, England's 7 and 8, the opportunity to protect George Ford.
That's the key point. It's not twisting it, it's getting one side up and the other side stays stationary, because if you try and twist it, A, you put your hooker under pressure with their props coming at them, but B, the referee's likely to not be happy with you not trying to drive straight.
Looks like England have managed to do that, so Matawalu will go down that shorter side, and here's lightning, and Brown has got to come across, and the alarm bells are ringing, and May got back, but Matawalu thinks he's scored. Oh, that is a thing of wonder.
No doubt the referee's given the try, Nick. England did exactly what we said they, but unfortunately they left the ball. They spun it round so far that the ball was left there, and look at that pace from Matawalu. A wonderful step. Look at this as the scrum goes round. It's just Tom Wood He just gets held in, doesn't he? Just gets held in by Wangani-Bertu.
He was telling us last week that he does 10.6 seconds in his bare feet. We've been talking about the threat, talking about the danger, talking about his pace. Here it is. What a score from the scrum half.
Wonderful. And look, he's got the upper body strength just to keep the ball up first, and then he knows exactly where the try line is. Look at that. Oh, did he drop it? Did he drop it?
Oh, now hang on. Just before the conversion was about to be taken, Jaco Pijper saw what we were watching on the big screen, and he wants Sean Veldsman to have another look at this.
Well, I don't think he's got control of the ball. It's only downward pressure, but did he have control of the ball? It looks to me, Nick, like he did drop that ball.
Oh no, that won't be a try.
Let's just have a look at this scrum again, because this is the problem. Tom Wood just gets himself caught in there. He just can't do that.
So the initial problem caused because actually Saulo went forward. Here's the...
Okay, guys.
He drops it.
It's actually great work from Mike Brown. Did Mike Brown get back and just get some fingertips on that?
This angle, Nick, gives us a much better look at that, and the outstretching arms.
Now watch Brown's right hand here. And
just does, doesn't he? Destabilises.
I think May underneath as well. Oh, well.
Offside as far as I'm concerned, because he's broken off the scrum. Okay, Sean. At the scrum.
Okay, Jaco, we're going to show you.
Yeah, look, I'm going to play on from the scrum. The player that is getting a little tuck is already offside. He's unbound. Okay. So carrying on to this one.
Yeah. There's clear separation between the hand and the ball.
Clear separation.
Clear separation.
And it goes forward.
Definitely forward.
Scrum, red ball.
Scrum, red ball.
Clear separation. Two words that have us in the end chalking out what would have been a marvellous try. But, well,
I think we've got to salute the work of Johnny May and Mike Brown, combined effort to not give up when a try looked like it was being scored. Originally he was going to pull Tom Wood for offside at the scrum anyway, but he played the advantage, and now it's England's scrum to clear their lines.
This won't be easy. They're in a very dark corner here.
Well, Marler got knocked back on the last one on this side, and as a result of getting knocked back, he tried to go in at the angle, and that's what caused the opportunity. With Tom Wood not knowing whether to stay with his prop or break off, he broke off, and that's why the referee was happy with him being held, because he'd already detached from the scrum.
The important thing for England now on this is that just total concentration at this scrum. They need all 8, and Ben Morgan will be on red alert. They want to keep it in, but if necessary, he'll be ready to go on that right-hand side.
Fine. Sit.
One brother to another. Tom Youngs didn't really get the hook back, and as a result, England's scrum has fractured, and they've given away the penalty. And Fiji may yet get their try. Matawalu from slightly shorter range. Wangani-Bertu decides to take it on. Matawalu's directing the traffic, but it is Wangani-Bertu who goes forward. England offside, so still playing the advantage. Vola, who is very good at this crossfield kick to Nandolo, and Nandolo scores. Vola did that in the Pacific Nations Cup final a month or so ago. He is pinpoint accurate, and he had a big target, but how well did Nandolo do to get up and claim it?
Well, let's see this again, but what the point that Ben was making about blindsiding on the kick.
Oh, listen to this. Oh, it's another one, this time Johnny Lacey, the Irish touch judge, coming in. Is there any reason why we can't give this? Well, was Nandolo in front of the kicker? Was he offside? Perhaps this will give us an idea.
Just going to have a look at a couple of things, Nick. Exactly. Was there a collision in the air that looks good to me in the air? Don't see any problem with that. It's a question of, was he in front?
Well, it's all about the fair contest for the ball. That was fair, and it was won cleanly by Nandolo.
Brilliant take, wasn't it? Brilliant take.
I think the taking of the high ball will become one of the the features of this World Cup. It's become such a skill in recent times.
Jaco, I've got a decision for you.
Yes, sir.
I've got no reason for you not to hold this try.
Fiji thought they'd scored a couple of minutes ago. They have now. The big man, Nandolo, rising highest and scoring at Twickenham.
This had taken nothing away from Fiji in the way that they created that try. A real nice piece of skill with a crossfield kick, but it all came from a really poor England scrum. It was England's put-in, don't forget, on their own line. They didn't manage to strike the ball back. They got shoved off their own ball. And if there is one blot on their copybook, it's that scrum on their line.
What about the cross kick from Vola? Doesn't have the conversion. There's a feeling that Vola has been picked for his game management ahead of Matavesi, and the kick that he delivers here, the crossfield kick that he's about to deliver, just hit a 10-pence piece.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it? And look at this, the problem is that Anthony Watson's always got his back to Nandolo, so he can't actually see what's coming in. That was the skill of the kick, that it was always going over the top of Anthony Watson.
Graham Rowntree with a little bit to write down, particularly that 5-metre scrum that led to John McKee's side eventually scoring the try. He's called this the biggest night ever for Fijian rugby. Here is the Pacific Nations champions, and they've really pulled themselves back into this. 3 tries in the first half an hour. Penalty try and 1 for Mike Brown for England. And then that wonderful effort, the combination of Nandolo and the fly half Vola.
Yeah, a great opportunity there. Let's see how England respond from that one poor scrum that they had. They've now got their own scrum on Fiji's 22. It's just concentration, Nick. They've really got to focus and concentrate. I'd like to see a bit of a cleaner and quicker strike down to Ben Morgan at the back there, the number 8.
Rob Shaw 7, Wood 6, Ben Morgan number 8, anchoring that scrum, now picking it up, flicking it back to Youngs for England's backs to use, and Joseph again away quickly, but this time not tidily, needed to be swept up by Brown, and there's May.
Great hands from May and Brown between them to orchestrate that.
This is the Northampton flanker, Tom Wood.
New advantage right offside.
England with the advantage.
Offside.
Fiji were offside a couple of metres further up the field than they ought to have been.
What number?
Yeah, England will take this. They'll be pleased with that after conceding that try to Fiji. Just an opportunity for George Ford to
13.
Just settle things down a bit as we
14.
have gone over the half-an-hour mark. Just hopefully add another 3 points for his England side.
So I say it, Nathalevu, who had just strayed a little bit further forward than he ought to have been.
We talk about fitness sometimes. I mean, I know the Fijians have spent a lot of time together in camp, probably more than they've ever done, but it's that fitness sometimes when they're defending and they're not just able to get their defensive shape back again that caused the offside for this George Ford shot at goal.
Little steadying of the English ship provided by George Ford.
Yeah, it just takes the lead. 18 points to 5 now. Keep that scoreboard ticking over. Last couple of kickoffs, Jess Parling's really owned the space and secured the ball.
Restart there, slapped away by Ben Vola. Plenty of time to tighten their belt. Oh, and that's been charged down.
No hand. Taken back.
entirely happy with the quality of that clearance. A little shake of the head. This is Talambula. Brown will challenge for this, and Brown goes up and he doesn't get it. He's also been penalised, and England need to be careful how they bring down Ratuni Yarawal. Fiji can build again with Veroniki Gonova, one of Fiji's thunderballs, the Leicester centre, and then that's lost forward by Matawalo, but will come back for the advantage.
Well, England just made a little bit of a mess after Jeff Parling called that kick-off. Not able to clear their lines, and they've immediately given Fiji an opportunity to cancel out the George Ford penalty. That'll be disappointing.
Shot.
Chris Robshaw there, I think, was the man penalised.
Now we're going to have a look at the magnificent sight of Nemani Nandolo kicking for goal. What word would you use to describe this kicking style? I'll offer you languid. Have a look at it and then see what you think.
Thud.
I'm sure I've seen a player built like him kicking in international rugby. He's seriously big.
Well, he might be big, but he kicks this like it's some kind of precious egg, I promise you. Look at this. It's like he's kicking the neighbour's kid's ball back over the garden fence, and he doesn't want to put a dent in it. That is brilliant from Nemani Nandolo. Big with the touch of a jeweller.
It is, isn't it? It's like a centre-half's kick upfield, straight between the uprights.
Really important now for England to get a bit of territory and a bit of dominance down here, because Fiji have scored their try, they've got a penalty, they've scored twice. It's important England now, the next people to rattle up some points on that board.
Once again, the backs giving it some air, but the link broke as Barrett tried to find Joseph.
Yeah, just again, England, obviously Parling did really well off the kickoff, but they're continually trying to move the ball through the hands, and you have to applaud them for that, but you just feel that they want someone just to offer the line and try and challenge the line.
Two teams between them with a dozen handling errors.
Pre-engage, concentrate.
And that's quite high for a team of England's standard, really, for this early in the game.
Approach. 5. Set.
It's a good contest at the scrum. That one's gone down, but referee Jaco Piper can see the ball, so we don't hang around. May pedalling backwards. Calls for the mark inside of his own 22.
Joe Marler will be fuming after that last scrum, because he's been under huge pressure. This time he wins the battle. His opposite number, Saulo's feet far too far back, loses his balance, goes straight down on his stomach. The referee just lets the scrum carry on. He'll be fuming.
Yeah, you can see the ball was at the back and the referee didn't really, he just wanted to play the game on, didn't he?
Which I'm pretty sure that most of the spectators do as well, but Marler will be one that disagrees with that call.
Fiji, by the way, here as the Pacific Nations champions, as we were saying. They're the 9th best team in the world at the moment, according to the ranking, sandwiched in between Scotland and Argentina. So they know what they're doing, and they're giving England a right old ride here.
Yeah, the possession stats just flashed up in the action areas. We've just seen that Fiji awarded another penalty. This time they decide to tap it.
Matawalu once again. He does not need an invitation to run with the ball. This is Ngira. Fondly remembered down Gloucester way, but causing some problems for England's defence again. These are concerning moments for England in red, and the ball again poked through by Vola. And England almost forced back over their own try line.
He did brilliantly there, Watson. He read that kick through and positioned himself superbly well. England have got to get the ball back in the field of play. They don't want to get caught behind their own line.
Ben Youngs, number 9, the scrum half, might take the responsibility on himself here, but he's not going to make much ground from where he is. But any ground is worthwhile, but they're going to have to do some defending again, England.
Yeah, Courtney Laws just forced the turnover.
But then it was lost by Morgan. And Fiji can break forward. Kampisi Ma'afu. Matualo spins it wide. Talambula gives it some air, and Lovan Balabu's running after it. And in the end, the ball came to heel for a grateful England fullback, Mike Brown.
Yeah, just frustrating from an England point of view, I'm sure. You know, you win the turnover and then you immediately turn it back over to the opposition again. It's just putting a bit too much on the ball, and Mike Brown was relieved and sensibly just let it run over for the 22. Just got to tighten things up a little bit, England. They're allowing Fiji to build the pressure and build the momentum in this game.
Oh, great take from May, and he's on his bike over halfway, goes beyond the fly half. Now he needs some support, and the red shirts are up quickly to try and release that ball. And Guerra doing his best to gum it back for the Fijians, and all he can do is concede a penalty.
Well, we're just over the 40-minute mark, so I suspect George Ford would probably have a shot at goal here. Chris Robshaw getting the ball in his hands. May as well. Can't kick it off the field, can't.
Yeah, it's a fantastic take, and then he's got the pace, just gets held, which allows the cover to come back. But watch Matawalu here get in. He's a little bit unfortunate. Brilliant play by May, just to put the ball under his body so he can't initially get to the ball. Then he rolls, so he's not breaking any laws. Is he supporting his body weight? He is now. He's very unlucky that it's a penalty to England and not a penalty to Fiji.
Yeah, often you see those blown the other way, don't you? For
a feeling that this is right on the edge of George Ford's radar. Longest kick in the Six Nations was 48 metres. This is 52 metres, so he's looking for a personal best on the cusp of half-time. Just short of a personal best. England ahead at the break. A penalty try, Mike Brown score, Nandolo winning the aerial battle to get one back for the Fijians. The thoughts of Sir Clive Woodward and Johnny Wilkinson very shortly. England 10 points to the good at half-time.
Shut up and judge.
Oh, yeah! Play the music!
Oh, how I love chips and gravy.
That song really moves me.
You are a walking icon.
Expect the unexpected. The all-new X Factor, tomorrow at 8 and Sunday at 7 on ITV.
Tana inupag akago naghana rin itabaran nyo na tinitwaro rin ako sa mga mat. Inupag yagan ako kailan ko. Nanokdo ami kapeso krone. Tisok to ano ka mo sukar din. Stang natikil lang man. Quattro.
Listen, Thierry, is this the best league?
That's life. And Alex Ferguson can't contain himself.
Let me get back to you.
Collymore closing in. Liverpool lead in stoppage time.
Magnifique.
West Bromwich Albion have completed the great escape. I swear you'll never see anything like this ever again. The title has returned to the capital.
Do I really need to tell you that this is the best league in the world?
Some people get their kicks.
Walkers are bringing back some of Britain's old favourites. Not them. Classics like my favourite, beef and onion. Yours might be cheese and chive. Or barbecue. I said, not you. Lamb and mint or toasted cheese. Vote for your favourite flavour and we'll bring it back. Grab a pack. Vote and you could win £100,000.
3 murders, excessively violent.
I can't believe we're finally face to face.
Anthony Hopkins.
He's leading us to a trap.
Colin Farrell.
Someone dies tonight.
Solace.
How much fitter would you say your player is now than when you guys were doing your thing?
Nowadays, all players across all positions are quick.
Yeah, because your pack in 2003 looked like a stag do at the darts.
So you're all about speed?
All about speed.
How about you take on Jason? Jason? Jack fancies himself as a bit of a speed merchant, so we thought a little one-on-one.
Hey, why not, eh?
You dodged a bullet.
3, 2, 1.
Whitehall, you cheat!
Obviously, I'm not going to beat Jason Robinson. Anyone else, level playing field.
Guys!
You're mugging me off with a prop.
You need to be on your
I'm
game.
Not racing a prop.
They are very
I'm not
quick.
Racing a prop.
Go on, Jack!
No, I had it. Hammy, I did my hammy, I think.
Jack, that's not your hamstring.
Well, whatever it is, I've pulled it. Thanks, Lawrence.
If they're starting to feel thirsty, they've already left it too late. I can water the whole team in about 25 seconds. I'll come back, tank up and go again.
Well, an eventful first 40 minutes in the Rugby World Cup of 2015, and Clive and Johnny got plenty to talk about over the next 4 or 5 minutes in this half-time break. The two England tries, obviously very different, Clive. The first one, I mean, it's the nature of World Cups. A lot of people come to the game who aren't familiar with the rules, and a lot of people will see this what was a penalty try, and say, what on earth was going on here?
OK, so from the line-out, the key thing, you're catching the ball, you're trying to keep the ball at the front, so see the red shirt at the front. The ball's got to be in front, so there's no offside. What happens here, the England forwards just get more men and more power, and you see just the pace of everyone coming in here. So you've got the forwards going very quickly, the ball's at the front, so that's all totally allowed. And you see then Barrett comes through with his yellow boots on, so you're getting backs joining as well. This was a great score for England, and it's a penalty try because the Fijian guy comes in under the ball. And this one, Tom Wood goes really well to read the line out. And again, it was poor play by Fiji, if we're being brutally honest. But this I thought I was pretty impressed there, and I thought Jose's pass there was just world class. I mean, the Brown finished it off. So, you know, 2 good tries for England. I think they would have taken this score to start with, but it's been a pretty sloppy performance, John, if I'm brutally honest.
2 issues that we can address now, which you suspect are going to be repeated throughout the whole of this competition and which are going to frustrate an awful lot of people, one of them especially, is the referring to the TMO, the voice in, or the eye in the box in the stand who can make a decision retrospectively, as it turned out. As we look at the Fijian first try that actually ended up being disallowed, what's your take, Johnny, on... I mean, this try was awarded and it was only disallowed when the big screen replay, just as the conversion was about to be taken, showed that the ball had been dropped. Now, does that hold the game up to ridicule, or does it actually say that the game is very, very modern and together because actually it uses technology to get the right decision?
It's a difficult one because I think there needs to be a protocol in place. It's very, very clear. And I think the problem is that the try gets given and everyone's moving on. And suddenly, just before you're about to take the kick, it's like, oh, no, hold on, we're taking that away. That's the issue for me. The thing is, there's so much at stake. We've already been building the World Cup up already. You know what's at stake for all these teams. That's not a try, what happened. However, this has happened in the past without these rules, so you'd have seen tries like that given. So it's good to know that if it's a try or a try, we'll see it and we'll get it right. But you just got to know, if there's any doubt, you've got to flag it. Because well, how far does it go? After he takes the conversion and then it's on the screen, can you still go back? Can you go back at half-time? Will you review at the end of the game and be able to change scores after?
But just imagine if you've been lining up that conversion and say, hang on a moment.
But to me, John, once the referee is given the try, that's where you've got to go with. It doesn't matter. He's got to go, sorry, guys, I made a mistake. So refereeing error, he should have waited and then had another look. Once you give it, you can't then go back. the thing about the home advantage, what happens if we play the video on the England tries? What if we don't play them on the other people's tries? When do you stop and start? Once you give the try, it's got to be given. That's it, it's done. And they shouldn't have changed that. Even though the actual decision was right, it had to go with the referee's decision.
Well, Fiji eventually did score a try, and that was as a consequence of a cross-field kick. And cross-field kicks are going to become very, very commonplace over the course of the next few games.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, what you see here is you see England thinking, we haven't got much on. Big defence against us, so you put the kick up, but the kick is a massive advantage for England. You attack it from the outside at pace. Watch this, for example. Do you want to be England's winger Watson here? Look at his body language. Compared to Nadola coming in from the outside, you create an advantage very, very quickly out of nothing, and you've got to use it. However, that kick is pinpoint. As soon as he catches it and falls over, he's scored. Now, that's really important. If he'd have put that kick short of the line, it's completely different. It's got to be a good kick. You've got to execute, but when you do it, it's so effective. You can say, look, nothing much on, so let's just do that. Let's score a try. Let's walk off. It's easy as that if you get it right.
OK, we'll talk more after the break, but how would you fancy being here in 6 weeks' time for the final?
Here's your chance to be £20,000 richer and be at the Rugby World Cup Final 2015. Courtesy of Toshiba, you and 3 guests will enjoy top tickets to this year's final at Twickenham. The prize includes travel and overnight accommodation, plus 4 Toshiba Satellite Radius 15 laptops with flip and fold design. Don't forget, we're also throwing in £20,000 tax-free cash. For your chance to win, text the word CUP to 61333. Text costs £1.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or send your name and phone number by post to RWC 0115 PO Box 7558 Derby DE10NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Text entry closes at 7:30 AM on Monday the 12th of October. Entrance must be contactable for 2 days after postal entry closes at 5 PM on Thursday the 15th of October. Good luck.
Push it on, push it on.
Oh, we're here to save the day. We are gone on our way. Light it up and let us go to the stars and to the moon. Start it up, we'll be there soon. Turn it all around.
Entertainment when it's needed most. Streamed on our ultra-fast 4G network. Vodafone. Power to you.
I've just got this free Aviva Drive app. And if you drive a car, you can have a go. It measures how safely you drive. Oh, little old lady. And you could save £104 on your car insurance, because your price is based not just on who you are, but how you drive. Mind how you go, love. Oh, you wouldn't catch me on one of them things.
Safer drivers save an average of £104 on their car insurance with the free Aviva Drive app.
Sunlight comes creeping in, illuminates our skin. We watch the day go by, stories of all we did. They made me think of you, they made me think of you.
One has a big game this evening.
got any Lucozade Sport?
Sport.
In rugby news, Lucozade Sport will be banned for the visiting nations.
Yo, Chris Robshaw.
Oh, he's got it. Yes!
Lucozade Sport, strictly for the home nations only.
Ford EcoSport, featuring keyless entry with power button to help you go further. Available from £159 per month.
He's going to go in. Dominici scores for France.
It's the world in union.
Well, these are pictures in the England dressing room just a few moments ago during half-time. England 18-8 to the good against Fiji. Stuart Lancaster, the England head coach, doesn't look terribly enamoured of that dressing room camera there, does he? But anyway, those are the scenes in the England dressing room. And I'm sure they're pretty similar in the Fijian because there's a lot for both sides to discuss in terms of general discipline, Johnny.
There is. We spoke before the game about building pressure, both teams wanting to, especially England, suffocating Fiji's performance. But you can't do that if you keep letting the valve out. And this is the tough thing. If you put someone under pressure, at one point they'll think, I can't do this anymore. You keep letting them back in and they will think, actually, no, this is all right. And then suddenly they get their tails up and think, we can finish this. That's the dangerous element behind this scoreboard right now. They've got to hammer it and hammer it home. And that takes discipline, togetherness the whole time, every minute right to the end. You can't afford to just drop off. And Fiji have dropped off more than England, which is why the score's like it is now.
And the key thing, Clive, you said at the start, England have got to be looking at 5 points from this match, which means 4 tries. But at the moment, the first priority is just to win the game, isn't it?
It's a 10-point game. If Fiji score first, we've got a game on here. I was hoping to see the change a bit more animated. That was the time where we've got to get stuck into this. And the England forward pack has really got to start to, come to the party here because we're just playing very lateral at the moment. We've got to go far more direct, and we've got to just see this game home now.
Well, we keep talking about rugby being 40 minutes each way. That first half, with all the TMO referrals and things like that, was actually 51 minutes plus. So your guess is as good as ours as when this game's actually going to finish, and also which way is it going to go. Let's go back to Nick Mullins.
England are starting this second 40 with the same 15 that started the first. Fiji have made a change, however. Lock forward Tavita Thavan-Barty, who's moved from the Ospreys to Worcester in the English Premiership over the summer, is on in their second row. He's taken the place of Api Ratuna-Urawa. And these are going to be big 20 minutes for both sides, Lawrence.
Yeah, Fiji had a really good spell towards the end of that first half, put England under real pressure and got themselves up on the scoreboard. England will really want to start brightly. I'm sure the messages at half-time would have been to up the intensity, up the pace, and a little bit more accurate from this England side.
Driven forward by Tom Wood. This is Tom Youngs, one of 2 English brothers on the pitch tonight. There's the other, Ben Youngs, second set of English brothers to play in a World Cup. You'll remember the Underwoods, Rory and Tony, South Africa in '95. A couple more on the bench, Vunapola, Mako and Billy, set to become the third. Should they both be on at the same time before the end of the match? Here's Wood again. He spoke very eloquently yesterday about how they're going to try and make it stodgy for Fiji, dictate the pace. There was a hint of the forward about that, and South African referee Jaco Piper saw it.
I've been hugely impressed with Fiji's defence because everyone talks about them not being organised, they're not getting overcommitted, they're not flying out of the line to make tackles, and England are finding it difficult. They're going through the phases, they're getting over the gain line, but then even when they throw these balls that have dummy runners in front of them, Fiji are just holding off and drifting across with the ball and shepherding England towards the touchline.
Yes, they've got John McKee, the New Zealander, in charge. She spent some time over here, McKee, was with the Cornish Pirates for 10 years. Australian Alan Muir looks after this set piece, the scrum, and Frans Leideke, famous South African coach,
Good shape.
looked after the balls in Super Rugby, looks after the line-outs, and that brain trust, you can see, Lawrence, has really made a difference to the platform that Fiji get at times like this.
Also, the coach was saying in his interview that just having some time with the players, you know, things like set piece particularly, and the structure and organisation that Ben's talking about defensively, you can only really put those structures in place if you've actually got some time. And I think, you know, he's managed to have that in the build-up to this World Cup, and you can see the fruits of all that hard work. He'll be really pleased that they fought their way back into that first half, Fiji.
Graham Rowntree, closest to us, the gnarled England forwards coach. Only survivor from that coaching team 4 years ago.
Yeah, he'll want more from his scrum. I'm sure he would have had a message to the front row, the whole forward unit, to put this Fiji scrum under some pressure. Haven't quite been able to disrupt as much as perhaps England fans would have expected.
Told that referees are going to look at those put-ins at the scrum that aren't entirely straight. There was a suggestion that wasn't entirely straight, but on we go, and Nandolo, the boss of a man, drives the ball directly into touch, and because he was outside his 22, he had to bounce the ball infield first, and he didn't, and England will come all the way back with possession.
Yeah, England profit. It's unfortunate, really, for Nandolo, because they'd worked so hard and exited really well, just looking for a better kick.
Just see Jeff Parling calling his troops into him away from the line out so he can make sure everyone's got the call and they can walk in. While they're walking in, Jeff Parling's looking, trying to see how Fiji are defending, seeing where the opportunities are, and then he'll make a quick call into the space.
Ball directed at Wood in the end, but Parling, the safest of safe hands, brought into Shop Stewart a line out, which was a little bit porous in the warm-up matches, but they think they've got it sorted out, and they've set up a really handy position here to drive the ball forward through this rolling maul, Lawrence.
Yeah, and it's Parling who's got the ball. It's so often he goes to Tom Wood in the line-out. Really good exponent as England break away.
Anthony Watson careful that he didn't overrun the ball there as Youngs waited for him, and it's good work by Fiji at the breakdown, frustrating England.
Well, that's fantastic. Again, they read the defensive play. Anthony Watson clobbered back in the tackle, and then I think it's Brad Barrett who comes in and seals off the ball and gives the penalty away. Little shake of the head there.
Captain.
Martin Bayfield has been busy sweeping up bits and pieces from the dressing rooms at half-time. He's got the gossip. If this ball goes into touch, we can have a chat with him, which it does. Martin, what have you got for us?
Well, talking to Mike Catt, very, very clear on where England have been making mistakes in that first half, making life far too easy for Fiji, going from touchline to touchline, very lateral, not going straight through the heart of the Fijian team, which therefore is not making them work too hard, so they're able to keep their patterns. They need to drive their lineouts and work off 9 and 10 a little bit more and go straight through the heart of this Fijian side.
Ball out. Lost.
Matawali taken on by Akapusi and Gera. Only Nikki Little and Seremiah Bai have won more Fijian caps now, and elegant boot of Vola Vola brought in just to give a little bit more game management for the Fijians. They've got Josh Matavesi, born in Cornwall, on the bench, but it's Vola Vola who's keeping it going for the time being, and he does nicely enough there to find Gonover. This is Lovan Balavu, started all 4 games in New Zealand. Fiji looking very patient, very composed, controlled, ball in hand.
Yeah, Vola Vola read what Mike Brown was going to do. He made the kick and then got himself across to where, and anticipated really well where Mike Brown was going to kick the ball, and it's got Fiji back on the front foot.
Thaban Bharti, who was upended on halfway, but it's still white ball, still white Fijian ball, and again a little chip ahead. Now was there a little bit of obstruction there in midfield as Talambula tried to run onto it, not according to the referee, although he's going to have a word with his touch judge on the far side, Stuart Berry, the South African.
Right, yeah. Interference.
Well, there was obstruction. Yeah. Look at it here, Lawrence.
Yeah, Brad Barrett, fairly minimal, but it does enough, I guess, to contact. Just turns in, and when you turn in like that and put the arm across, just give the TMO, the touch judge rather, the opportunity to penalise, and that's 2 in the space of about 3 or 4 minutes from Brad Barrett.
Johnny, you're watching on up in the studio. You've got a few thoughts on tactics, game management.
No, do you know, it's just an interesting one, just at some point during the game, especially after about 45-50 minutes, to say, is it noticeable what both teams are trying to do? Could you write down a piece of paper, this is what England's game plan is, this is what Fiji's are from what you've seen? And it's quite a difficult one. For me, it's, you know, there's been a couple of things you can see. Fiji started off trying to run the big wingers at George Ford in the middle, and then, but after that, there's been a couple of cross-field kicks. But can you tell what the two teams are trying to do? And I think that's a measure of the effectiveness of the discipline and actually the control and the management of the game. So I'm actually going to ask that to Ben and Lawrence, say, look, guys, what are your views? What do you think they're actually trying to do to each other?
One thing, Johnny, we've seen a couple of missed touches, but I'm not actually sure they are missed touches. I think England want to keep the ball on the field because they think they're fitter. They've been running an awful lot in pre-season. They're up in their gym at their training centre at Pennyhill Park. They have the words kill zone, and that means that they think that they can run teams at an uncomfortable level, and Fiji are big in that back line. Perhaps they think keep the ball on the field and we'll get gains later on in the match.
Nandolo errs with his kick. Ford gets England back underway. Youngs to the skipper Rob Shaw, leading England for the 39th time this evening, which draws him level with Martin Johnson's best. Will Carling still the best in terms of statistics, and again Talambula upended as he went through, but this time we're continuing. That was legal. And this is Tom Youngs.
Industrious Tom Youngs has really upped his work rate.
Have to admire the work rate of Fiji's defence there, providing that white ball which England are finding hard to get through at the moment. Now, I think we're going to come back for that. The passage of the ball wasn't an easy one, and it was an illegal one from England.
Yeah, just going back to Johnny's point about England's tactics. Clive mentioned it as well, just a little bit lateral and just wanting to offload the ball at all opportunities. We saw right at the beginning of that second half the likes of Tom Youngs and Tom Wood carrying ball, trying to get in behind Fiji. Ben talked about Fiji defending really well. Well, at the moment, England aren't tying enough of those Fijian defenders and making them sort of move towards the rucks. And I just feel if England are to progress in this game, they just need to challenge the line and tie in a few more Fijian defenders before they move the ball wide.
A little bit of concern for Jeff Parling. Nursing a body that's in its 30s now. He's 32 in the week of the final. We do not know if he will still be engaged at this World Cup in the week of the final, or whether he'll be bedding in with his new club, Exeter. But whatever, Joe Launchbury is preparing himself to come on.
Hold your weight.
Well, he will add a real engine and a lot of activity and huge amounts of work rate to this England pack.
And to add to your point, that ability to get over the gain line and shorten the defensive line, because he'll tie extra defenders in, which means at the next phase they won't be stood up ready to tackle the red shirts.
Fiji wheeling the scrum through 90 degrees in the net result. England penalty.
Going back and turning.
And the decision going against Kampiti Marfa. He was accused of turning the scrum illegally. And here comes Joe Launchbury. Really serious neck injury last season, and for a long time he and us wondering if we'd ever get to see him in this World Cup, but he worked so hard to fight his way back, and it looks like he's about to come on. And England are making a triple substitution, because Billy Vunipola and Richard Wigglesworth are going to come on as well, and also Mako Vunipola. The two brothers side by side. Billy and Mako about to become the third brothers to play for England at a World Cup.
Yeah, I think the coaches, what are we now, on the 50-minute mark? Not sure whether they would have decided that before the game, but they've really given this England side the starting 15 the first 10 minutes this second half, and really feel that the changes are necessary as Tom Youngs just gets that driving ball. Look at him talking to the referee, just having a little chat. Does really well to break free again.
Tom Wood clearing white shirts out of the way. Now it's Ford with the cross kick, and it's Watson who will lock to time his leap. The ball's there, and Nandolo was trying to get his hands on it as well, but we're going to come back for the penalty.
Yeah, penalty advantage for offside, as Tom Youngs did really well at the back of that driving ball, just forced the mistake. Anthony Watson looks like he's a little bit dazed after that collision. Will England go to the corner? Or will they go for points?
There's a potential foul play by Red.
Where was that?
Just there where you are now, in that mall. I'm just going to show that.
Just wonder if this might be on Tom Wood and the way that he pulls his man away there. Tom Wood on Leone Nakarawa, grabbing Nakarawa around the neck. Another area that the referees are going to be really hot on at this World Cup.
Yeah, talking to the referees in the build-up to this competition, the neck roll is something they're really trying to outlaw in the game. I mean, normally when it's at the ruck, actually, when players are coming into the ruck and you're trying to lift a player off, on this occasion, he's thrown him off, and a bit of overuse of force on the neck, Ben.
The actual throw is fine, it's just where he's got his arm. If his arm's underneath the armpit, that's fine, but as the referees and World Rugby want to make a point that even if it's at a breakdown, it's not acceptable to go around the neck.
Thanks. So what I'm saying is, since around the neck, pulling the player out of the maul, in balance with the previous sanctions, that will be a penalty only in my view.
Yeah, just keep in mind that it was around the neck, so if a stern wood with him.
Thank you. There's a clear drive not to go anywhere around the neck. You have to keep your discipline. I played advantage for you, so I turned the penalty around. Right. You can't take the law in your own hands.
Well, might have been a yellow, but he's just been given a ticking off.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because he's given England the penalty, and that penalty, that Tom Wood tackle has happened after the penalty that he's awarded England. But yeah, he's penalised Tom Wood, so he's trying to give England the advantage, but then not gone back for the original penalty.
Richard Wigglesworth, one of the few in the squad who knows how painful a World Cup can be. Here's Mako Vunipola, 3 years on from his debut against Fiji, his World Cup debut. He replaces Joe Marler. Ben Young's 50th cap comes to an end, and England with a quadruple substitution.
Well, I think they just want really big impact from these players off the bench. The Vunipola brothers, almost victims of their own ability to really explode off the bench and have a huge impact straight into the game, and that's what England, the management team, will be looking for, not just from those two, but from the others that have come on.
So many substitutions can sometimes affect the rhythm of the team. Let's see how quickly England bed in with the new boys on the shop floor.
I think, importantly, England made that substitution of Mako Vunipola after Joe Marler won that last scrum. I think they think that they've finally tired out Saulo, the tight head, and now Mako can come on and concentrate not just on scrummaging, but having that impact with ball in hand.
Ongera actually knocking the ball forward in his efforts to pick it off the floor, and we will have an England scrum.
Yeah, immediately Joe Launchbury gets a toe in at the ruck, just causes a little bit of loose ball and gets England on the front foot, and Fiji just scrambling back.
First and then lost forward. Your ball. Yeah, lost forward first of your player and then knocked.
Their first knock on, I think, is by England, so it's going to be a Fiji put-in.
New England face on the left side of their scrum. Mako Vunipola, British and Irish line. He's a stocky little dumper truck. Fiji will certainly feel his force.
Bit of movement in the Fiji backline. They just split the backline both ways. England defending with, that's actually an England put in, I beg your pardon. Fijian scrum half was holding on to the ball. England have done this a few times, haven't they, Ben, in the warm-up matches where they've lined up the 10, Mike Brown and Anthony Watson behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to force Fiji to decide how they're going to defend, so that Ford, who's one of the best decision makers in the Northern Hemisphere at just going late, making late passes, so they're constantly chatting to each other behind the scrum at the moment, just feeding in Browns, being the eyes for Ford as well, telling him where he wants him. But it's important they get the scrum right and they feed that communication into Wigglesworth so he can make sure they get the right side up.
Well, they've lost the ball completely. The best laid plans, eh?
Oh, God. Well, England, to Ben's point, thought that they're just starting to get the upper hand in the scrum. It's all getting a bit feisty. Dan Cole's not happy, as you can imagine. Got a little slap in the face. Don't need to be seeing that. It's just not really allowing England, you know, what are we, 14, just over 14 minutes into the second half. Fiji, to their credit, not allowing England to get any continuity in this game, any foothold in this game. They've not been able to add any points on the scoreboard because they've got no continuity.
Notice Campese Mafu being told to keep his hands to himself at the next scrum, which will please Dan Cole, would imagine. Attendance of a little over 80,000. Manasseh Saulo plays his club rugby in Romania, a burgeoning professional league in Romania these days, and that's been dropped, it seemed, by Tandingo, but on we go. And that was very loose from Matawalu, player who'll be leaving scorch marks at the rip down in Bath next season.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, Fiji just recovered, but they've lost all of about 20 metres on that particular play. England really upping the ante now defensively.
Newman Launchbury amongst those in the soup of that rock. Volla volla. Here goes Brown. Evaded a very hefty missile then in the shape of Lovan Balava, and Lovan Balava's got to get back into the defensive line now because May's testing it. Talambula. Nandolo, taken on by Nakarawa, the Glasgow man, who when he gets going is a right old handful, as is Nandolo, and Nandolo shuttled into touch, and you can hear what Twickenham man and woman thinks of that.
Just a really important tackle here from Courtney Laws in the outfield. As we see, Fiji, look at that, really went low, got his man down, wasn't able to, well, just delayed the offload. And then Launchbury again, just shepherding him into touch.
Off the knees. Yep.
Launchbury on Nandolo there, unable to again offload the ball, and Fiji just had a little whiff there.
Off the ground. Good shoulder eye. Let's get that balance right.
Scrums have been such a good contest. There's Cole and Campese Mafu robbing ears again.
Movement.
Free kick, a little bit of movement in that Fiji scrum, and that means that Vunipola can run onto it. Shed a little bit of weight over the summer, but he's certainly added muscle. And Joseph finds Brown again. Wigglesworth, the new scrum half. Some ferocious hits in midfield, the two hookers there, Koto and Youngs. Forward. See how quickly Nakarawa was up in his face, really cutting down the angles and the options.
Fiji forced the turnover though on Brad Barrett as he took the ball in. Could be an opportunity.
Here goes Big Billy again. Lost 7 kilos over the summer. A new diet we're hearing. Fewer jelly babies, more salads and vegetables. It's worked wonders for him. This is Watson. Chris Robshaw. Alert, all eyes. Picks it up, drives it forward. Hard work from Thavan Barty to try and slow things down, but Wood finds Laws.
See England up front just trying to take matters into their own hands. Forwards now picking and going several times and getting in behind this Fijian defence.
Robshaw with the initial burst, and now Wigglesworth, and this is Wood. He's stopped by Gonover. Thavan Barty with his size 12s trying to disrupt things as well, and Brown gets involved with the big boys.
Did well not to knock it on there.
Well, the Fijian defensive line have their hands on their knees. They're very, very tired here. England need to go up the gears.
Launchbury. England 10 metres away. Watson's just trotting in field off his right wing, looking interested. Fiji's defence, though, remaining resolute. As hard as those lungs are burning, it's another defensive feather in their cap.
He wants to play. Clinging between your legs, holding on.
It's penalised Richard Wigglesworth. He disagrees with it. He's just kicked it back in, holding on, because he felt that he didn't have the support there. Let's just have another look at this. Just keeps it between his legs.
Did he stop a Fijian getting his hands on it and ripping it back? He may well have done.
Yeah, he pulled it back into the ruck. You've got to give Fiji enormous credit, because, as Ben said, they would look like they were out on their knees. England needed one or two more little incisions to break the dam, and Fiji just regathered and defended really well.
Fiji are making a change in the back row. Patheliato is coming on, plays his rugby for Clermont in the French top 14, and he's replacing Domenico Wangani Baruto, who doesn't play far away. He's the brave man. England have found themselves to make a change as well. Owen Farrell limbering up, and then Nandolo charged after that kick, perfectly timed. Fiji working so hard to win that ball back. Taken on by Nakarawa, who is such a threat with the ball in hand. Fiji are still in there punching, and they're playing the advantage. They'll have a penalty if nothing comes of this. Lovan Balavu with the kick to nothing crossfield. Talambula wriggling away. Come back for the earlier penalty. Sam Burgess preparing to come on, and Owen Farrell as well.
There's great work, I think, from that kick from Nandolo. Just gets the better of Anthony Watson. He waits for Anthony Watson to claim the ball, but gets over the top of him in the tackle, and then just has an excellent steal. Really, really good work from Fiji.
I actually think that was England's penalty, because Nandolo never released the man in the tackle. You have to show the referee that you've completely let go of him. He stayed in there, rolled his opposite number, got back to his feet and won the ball.
Barrett and George Ford are given way. Sam Burgess is with us, a Rugby League superman, now part of a Rugby Union World Cup. This the reason he was persuaded to make the switch. He's on the big stage, the biggest stage that this sport can offer. And here's one of the biggest men that this sport can offer, Nandolo. Languid and loose.
Yeah, that's a bad miss. That would have taken Fiji to one score of England, and starting to get a little bit uncomfortable for England supporters in the stadium. They're still 10 points in front, but on the 60-minute mark, they'd have liked their team to be a little bit further ahead.
It was just wonderfully taken by Favan Barty, and they can launch again.
Release.
Nandolo, oh, he's gone through, and if he goes through, he's almost impossible to stop. Little images of Jonah Lomu running through everyone's mind, who remembers South Africa and Cape Town in '95. Nandolo setting off more than one alarm bell in that England defence, and it forced the offside defence stepping forward too much, and Fiji will have another penalty in front of the posts.
Yeah, this one, that man Nandolo will step up after a fantastic run and probably have a much easier shot, but just goes to show, Nick, when you get in behind as Nandolo did there, and you cause the defence to scramble, they immediately give away the offside.
Back in '95, by the way, his sporting hero growing up in Australia playing football was Harry Kewell, the Australian who was playing for Leeds. He'd not really heard of Jonah Lomu, but everyone's been talking about him in terms of Lomu in the build-up to this one.
I mean, it's, you know, you have to take a second look at the stats when you see him, and he's 6'4", and nearly 20 stone in weight. Certainly used all of it there to great effect for Fiji, and if it was uncomfortable a few minutes ago,
I was on my back.
If this one goes over, it certainly will be for England.
Ben Vola. Just 1 from 5 kicks so far as a team. They've squandered 11 points. This one has to go over. Into the final quarter, and Fiji within a score. They're just 7 points behind now.
Little rub of the hands from John McKee, the coach. Concerned, pretty straight faces, poker faces on the England coaching bench. They won't be happy at all. 18 points to 11.
Short, flat kick-off there. Fiji too far back. England spotted it, so no trajectory on the kick, just almost a forward pass.
This is Tom Youngs running into his Leicester teammate, Veroniki Gonova. What does Sam Burgess have to offer? So much debate about what he's offered so far in Union, but here he is playing for England in a World Cup. And this is Laws. 6 years now since his debut here as a gangly 20-year-old. Great work again on the floor, just slowing things down, frustrating England.
Well, they did great work there at the ruck, Fiji, because they just committed numbers and sort of counter-drove England off their ball. Well within their rights and just falling the right side of the referee. Jacko Piper's whistle at the moment.
They've had the Irish World Cup referee, former referee Alain Roland in camp over the last couple of weeks, just working on the breakdown, just explaining to them, because it's such a technical sport, exactly what they can do and what they can't do. And that work with Roland appears to be really paying dividend here, but that was a loose kick. And this is Brown, and he's charging it forward over halfway. And then Farrell was clattered in midfield, but this is Vunipola. Wigglesworth, another Saracens player, and this is Vunipola, adding to that list of Saracens who've had their hands on the ball recently. And then the penalty for England. They were working just a little bit too hard around the offside line there, Fiji.
Yeah, they're really working hard at Fiji and making it difficult for England to get that quick ball. It was Koto on that particular occasion, but he did so from an offside position. Counter-rucking, getting boots on the ball, just trying to make it as messy as possible, but penalty to England.
7. Just so you know, the player in the ruck was fine, but when it bounced out, that player was offside. Right? Yeah.
You can't swing your boot around. You have to come from directly behind the ball, get the foot. You're allowed to kick the ball out, but it has to come directly through the middle. You can't swing around the outside of the ruck like that.
It's Patheliato that the England bench are getting excited about.
Just that point on the refereeing, Nick. I think you know, Jacko Piper refereed England in Paris, and they definitely fell the wrong side of his interpretations of what was going on at the breakdown. They also played very poorly, by the way. But they similarly, through the good work of Fiji, England just getting a few problems on the referee.
Owen Farrell, and his first kick in a World Cup. Let's watch him drawing the imaginary line between the posts, drawing the trajectory that the ball follows. England need a little bit of a Tommy Seckler, and Farrell has given them one.
Just restores that cushion to 10 points. Still won't be enough for England.
England change in the front row. Kieran Brooks, name who wouldn't have been on many people's squad lists if you were compiling it down the pub a year or so ago. But he's on now for Dan Cole. And that ball's got loose and Nandolo's picked it up, but ball went forward.
Just went a bit further in the air than Launchbury was expecting. And he was waiting for a call from behind him from Anthony Watson. And Fiji forced the knock on.
stay concentrating. Let's get the shape up.
Colto just drawing in some air. 35 now, nearing his 50th cap, the hooker. Tavita Thavan-Barty shouting the odds. We know that England's scrum will be under pressure here because it's been under pressure all match.
Yeah, Billy Vunipola looks poised to try and relieve some of that pressure if it does come on. Wigglesworth so effective with the boot, but normally with his left boot. That looks a lot more solid from England. They just want to get that ball channeled back.
Now trying to get the squeeze on, try and win that penalty, give them opportunity to clear their lines and get the putt into the line out. Now it's coming. Really solid, all staying straight. They've got the penalty, exactly the result they wanted. Resisting the temptation of using it too quickly. Wigglesworth, good communication with his front row there. They knew whether they had it or not. They kept the ball in.
Ben, you've been keeping a close eye on Nemani Nandolo.
Well, yeah, it's actually Sam Burgess that makes the mistake here because he overcommits on the outside. Nandolo spots it, steps back. But once he gets in behind you, look how many red shirts get attracted by the fact that no one can put him down. That means that if Fiji did manage to get this ball free on our left-hand side as we're looking at it, England were in real trouble with numbers. You could throw a lasso around all those players because they panic once he gets in behind you. You must make your first up hits.
There are very big shadows of Jonah Lomu, aren't there, whenever he's on the ball. We've said it all night, but for good reason.
Interesting, isn't it? England going to the set piece, that first the scrum, now the driving line out to try and get themselves on the front foot in this game.
Thavan-Barty trying to scrap his way over the top. It's been a feature of this Fijian game. The ball's had chewing gum on it whenever England have been trying to use it quickly tonight.
Turnover Fiji. Really good work.
Once again. It's the 10th turnover that Fiji have won tonight. England have made 4. Come to digest the statistics at the end of this match. 10 turnovers. Outstanding for Fiji, a real concern for England.
Lost!
Whole of the Fijian pack have stayed on this side. They are tiring. But England need to make sure that they get the turnovers themselves, because if they do, there's opportunities to attack before the front 5 can recover for Fiji.
And here goes Wigglesworth, looking to test perhaps tired lungs. Brown gives it some air. Joseph escapes his man, he's got May to the left. Seen much of May in an attacking sense over the last half an hour or so, but Brown's still there and he gathers and he stretches and he might have scored. It's turning into some night for Mike Brown. His second World Cup try and perhaps the one that completes the job for England.
Just fantastic hands. England able to really hold on to the ball. They just worked the space, didn't they? I think it was an offload eventually from Owen Farrell. Look at that wonderful little offload. It just gets England in behind, the little under the arm. Fantastic. Mike Brown just juggling the ball and definitely gets over the line for England's 3rd try. Nothing wrong with that offloading off the floor. But it was the offload earlier on, Ben.
Well, exactly. Johnny May manages to get the offload to this man, but he's making the decision, I'm going to pass it. It's not on. Brilliant communication from Brown to tell him, I'm still there, throw it out the back door. And then that Farrell knows he can throw it blind, knowing that his man's going to scoop it up and dive over the line.
England have got their 3rd try, but Clive, the importance of the 4th.
Yeah, Nick, you're saying the job done. I mean, the job's not done. You've looked, you know, England aren't playing well, but we're going to win this game. We've got to get this 4th try, so I think Rob Shaw should get his troops around him now and go, come on, we've got to absolutely focus now. If we get this 4th try, we've not had a great game tonight, but we can move on strongly. So this next 8 minutes is critical for me. They've got to get the 4th try, and this is all they should be thinking about now. No more kicks to goal. You know, great kick by Owen. No more kicks to goal, no more drop goals. We've got to get the 4th try, and that should be the whole game plan with 7 minutes to go.
Yep. A fourth try to follow this one would turn this at the moment from a 4-point win into a 5-point win. And we've been talking in the build-up to this about the importance with Wales and Australia here at Twickenham over the next 2 Saturdays.
Just see Mike Brown going over there, but again, excellent work first from Johnny May with a little offload, then Owen Farrell to give that man, Mike Brown, his second try.
Took a bit of a battering on the way to the try line, but those bruises will be worth it tomorrow morning, particularly if England see this out, and as Clive says, they can pocket a 4th try before the end of it. Oh, he's starting to turn this. Here he goes again. The flying fullback, Brown, gets it away to Burgess. He lays it back. England rampant. Vunipola. This is Watson. First time in the match, Fiji's defence just scattered a little bit. Kieran Brooks straightens things up. That's the 22. Oh, and then it's lost forward.
Frustrating, really frustrating for England. What a break from Mike Brown. Just scored that try, just brushing defenders off. And then look, has the wherewithal just to slow things up and pick up the lovely line from Sam Burgess. You thought there the referee might go back for the offside. Fiji were definitely offside there, but he played the advantage. A couple of phases later, England forced the knock-on.
You'll have seen, by the way, that Rob Webber is on in the middle of that England scrum. Changes to the Fijian front row as well. A little under 5 minutes to go. It's been a stormy opening night for England. They perhaps haven't ridden out the storm just yet, but they're nearly there. They do need one more try, though, to make it a more satisfactory evening. For the time being, it's the Fijians and Nandolo, and he's lost it. Oh.
Not deemed to have knocked it on, maybe dropped it onto his foot.
I think he did. I think Anthony Watson was probably the most pleased person in the stadium that he did try and chip through.
Just feel that the Fijians are tiring now, Nick, a little bit, and England are taking full advantage and just force the offload.
Saw Fiji against Canada across the road at the Stoop a couple of weeks ago, and they definitely tied in the final 20 minutes, and Canada, by going wide, profited, got a couple of scores, but they've really dug in much more here at Twickenham tonight.
I just think at this scrum, I know England want to attack and they want to play fast, but they've got to do the scrummaging first, because this front 5 of Fiji are out on their feet, and if England start marching them back 10 metres in the scrum, psychologically that's going to play havoc on already tired bodies.
Another change in the Fiji front row. I say Thalati on for Manasseh Saulo.
There's that lineup with the 3 players behind. You can see Farrell, Brown and Watson making late decisions, causing Fiji problems.
It's Penny Ravai who was being bent in 2 on the far side from Jaco Piper's point of view. It was strong work from Kieran Brooks, who I think won his place in the squad as much as anything, because he can play on both sides of the scrum, Lawrence, on the right-hand side, the tight head side, and on the loose head side, which is quite a trick to pull off.
Yeah, it certainly is, and obviously with the injury concerns over Alex Corbuziero, Kieran Brooks profited from that, but really strong scrum from him there. Referee, if he'd been on that side, probably would have given the penalty again to England, and I'm sure they would have elected for another scrum.
Look at the work that England 6 Tom Wood is putting into that scrum, but the ball's gone loose. Oh, how well did Rob Shaw do to make sure that it was still England ball, red ball. Launchbury. A little under 3 minutes to find the 4th try, the bonus point securing score.
England trying to stay really tight around the breakdown and narrow that defensive line, try and create an opportunity on the outside when Fiji step in for the likes of Watson and May.
Wigglesworth, this is Wood, looking for some support runners. Taken on by Burgess. Farrell, Brown, who's now run over 150 metres this evening. Another 4 or 5 metres, he'd have got a hat-trick. Shipped back by Wigglesworth. And then nice work from Farrell as well. Rob Shaw. If England can get it wide, there might be options to the left, but they need to hold on to it. And it was stolen by Naithalevu.
Player contesting off the hand. Go ball.
And Fiji have the scrum.
See England just desperately trying to get that ball wide. Really good work again from Mike Brown. What a great game he's had, just staying on his feet. Unfortunately, again, Fiji making a real mess of that breakdown.
Fiji, by the way, have just a 5-day turnaround before they play the Australians at the Millennium Stadium. Wales there on the 1st of October, then they finish up with Uruguay in Milton Keynes. England, as we've been saying, as you I'm sure know, Wales and Australia here on the next 2 Saturday nights, and then Uruguay in Manchester on Saturday, October the 10th. They will hope that they're still playing for something come October the 10th. Mike Brown's had a wonderful evening. What has overall been a sticky one for England. Fiji have performed magnificently.
Yeah, take nothing away from Fiji, but England will look at the statistics and just feel that they've just not played with enough accuracy. You know, they've not held on to the ball. They've had a lot of handling errors. Fiji have profited at the breakdown. They've worked really hard. 10 turnovers at the breakdown. Look at that, action areas. Can't say it's not been an even contest in that respect.
Matawalu. Making sure that he's got that offensive back line exactly where he wants it. And England get the shove on. And they went for the shove too soon, which is why Fiji have the free kick. Lovan Balavu. Over the head of Nandolo.
Probably one more chance, Nick. Now this represents England in the last minute of the game. They've got a line out just on the Fijian 10-metre line. Can they do something? Can they pull off a move that can get them that 4th try and the bonus point?
The driving play, Lawrence, has been so profitable for England this game. Do they leave it in, knowing that this is going to be the last play? Do they try and drive them on? No, they go off the top.
Burgess, who took it on. Wigglesworth. Farrell still looking for a little bit of width, and still Fiji trying to win that ball back. This is Brooks. Gone beyond the 80 minutes. England know that it has to be now if they're to get that bonus point, which might be critical come the final audit, the end of the night in Manchester. And this is Wood. He will know that. Watson's calling for it. Rob Shaw has it. One last big defensive set from the Fijians to deny England. Farrell to Vunapola, and then this is Burgess. Oh, he's done well. What about the tackle? Brown was nearly in for a hat-trick. What a tackle, but England might yet get the 4th try. This is May weaving his way through. Got on his ladder to try to get to the try line. Vunapola scores, it seems. Piper wants to look. It's a critical decision. Well, this will determine whether England have won with 4 points or with 5 points. So much to analyse. We are going to have a word with Sean Veltsman in his little cubbyhole in the car park. He's been busy tonight, but none more important than this.
Yeah, desperate, really. Johnny May, look at that. He made a lunge for the line. I don't think there's any doubt that Billy Vunapola gets himself over. It's whether the grounding of the ball, Nick.
Be interested to see how close Mike Brown was as well to breaking the defence and scoring his hat-trick. Now, what about this? Has he got the well? The ball's down, but is it on the line? This will tell us, have England got the bonus point score, or is it just short? I think Matawalo's right leg might be important in all of this.
Looks short from those 2 angles. Oh, is it a piece of that on the line, Ben? Is that?
You only need to get a little blade of grass coated in the whitewash for it to count. Now, Yes, big Billy done that. We think he might well have done.
That's a try. He just lifts his arm up, doesn't he? And it's the second.
It's the far point of the ball, yeah.
We're having another angle. We're using the brand new Hawkeye system here during this World Cup, which gives us a little bit of an added advantage. It's not really that angle behind the line. We need to see the line. This is the one.
Doesn't look like it from there, does it? Certainly from behind it did.
I thought there was another angle. I mean, it's just you only need the tiniest bit on the whitewash, as you say.
What a job Matawalu has done if he has denied England and Vunipola. This is the one that looks promising for England, I think.
Yeah, he bounces down, and then it's the second movement. No, it's not a double movement because it's all in the same move. Is there on the line? I think it is.
I think it is, yeah.
Well, Jako's got a nice smile on his face. Here we go. Here we go. Listen to the roar. They don't know yet, but they do now. England have rescued themselves. A long way from perfect, a long way from perfect, but they're going to bag the full 5 points at the end of their World Cup opener here on the Friday night, and big Billy Vunipola does the job for them just by a coated blade of Twickenham grass. Still got the conversion to come.
We always talk about the TMO, and it took them a long time. They had a proper look at that, didn't they, and decided to award it.
You talk about leaders and big game players. The offload to start it all off from Sam Burgess, unbelievable. And then Mike Brown's input as well. And Vunipola, that's exactly what he's there to do. 5 metres out, he's got to back himself that he can get over the line. As you said, England look like they've escaped.
My goodness, England needed the full 80 minutes. They needed beyond the 80 minutes. But it's their best ever win in the opening match of a World Cup since the bloke sitting next to me were playing in 2003, and since Johnny Wilkinson and Clive Woodward were involved. We'll hear from Johnny and from Clive very shortly. But England have taken the first step. There are Welsh hills and Australian mountains to come. But on this opening Friday night, they have won by 35 points to 11.